Good morning, Year 5. Welcome to your Tuesday maths lesson. Today we're going to be continuing with our fractions unit, and today looking specifically at counting in fractions. So moving forward, Mrs. Moore and I have decided that what we're going to do to make things a little bit easier for you, and probably a bit easier for us as well, is that we're going to give you the answers to the previous day's maths worksheet. So as you can see here, you have the answers to questions 1 and 2 from yesterday's worksheet. So, and then the other ones are on the next slide. So if you want, I would suggest that you pause the slides here and then you mark your questions 1 and 2. If you have made any mistakes, just have a look at the correct answers and see where you might have gone wrong. I'm sure you'd be able to correct them. And then again, here are questions 3 and 4. The answers are in green, or they're in the green box. And then there is also the answer to the challenge, if any of you managed to get on to that. Well done if you got everything right. Do not worry if you got anything wrong. This is quite a tricky concept to master. So if you got any of the work wrong from yesterday, stop right here, stop the video, and go back through your work from yesterday and see where you went wrong and try and fix it, because it's important that you understand these improper fractions and these kind of mixed number fractions before we move on to today's lesson about counting in fractions. Okay, here we go with today's lesson, counting in fractions, and it says, have a look at this incomplete number line. So what we have here is a number line. Firstly, we need to think about what fraction are we counting in on this number line. So what we have here is we have 0, half, 1, 1.5, and then we have lots of blank squares until we get to 5. Have a quick think. What do you think we are counting in here? So we're not counting in ones. If we were counting in ones, it'd be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. What are we counting in here? 0, half, 1, 1.5. Well done. I'm sure you've noticed that we are counting in halves here. So what do you think the next fraction in that box would be? So we've got 0, half, 1.5. So 0, half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. Now, what I want you to do is to pause the video here and to complete this fractions number line. You can write it down, or I don't mind if you just recite it out loud. And then, so pause the video here, and then on the next slide we'll have a look at the answers. Okay, how did you get on? Here is the completed half fraction number line from 0 to 7. I'm sure you're all able to do this one. So well done for doing that. Next question. Are these fractions ascending or descending? Now, I know we've looked at these words before, but just a reminder, ascending means the numbers are getting bigger, and descending means they are getting smaller. So if this fractions number line is going from 0 to 7, is it ascending or descending? Well done, it is ascending. This fraction number line is ascending as the fractions are getting bigger. They are going from the smallest to the biggest. Okay, let's have a look at another fraction number line. So, what fraction are we counting in on this number line? So we have 1 and 1/5, 1 and 2/5, 1 and 3/5, 1 and 4/5. So what would the next fraction be? Now, you might want to say 1 and 5/5, because as you can see, the numerator is 1, 2, 3, 4/5. So you might want to say 5/5. But as we know, 5/5 equals 1 whole. So we don't say 1 and 5/5. We add another whole and we get 2. And then we would go 2 and 1/5, 2 and 2/5, 2 and 3/5, and so on, 2 and 4/5, 2 and not 5/5, we would actually add another one and it would become 3. Okay, let's have a look at this number line, which is presented slightly differently. So it says complete the number line by filling in the missing fractions and mixed numbers. Now, when it says mixed numbers, it means when there is a whole and a fraction. So up here, you have your fractions. And as you can see, we have some improper fractions up here, where the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So I think we'll start by filling in the missing fractions at the top. In fact, we'll do them at the same time. So we have 0, 1/5, 0, and you'll see here 1/5. So we'll put 1/5. At the top again, 2/5, and at the bottom it is the same, 2/5, 3/5. So we put 3/5 down here. Again, 4/5, 4/5 down here, and as you can see, we have these little bar models to help us. So then here we have 5/5, and as we discussed on the previous slide, we know that that is equivalent to 1. So down here in our mixed numbers number line, we have 1/5, but up here as an improper fraction, we know it would be 6/5. 7/5 is equivalent to 1 and 2/5. 8/5 is equivalent to 1 and 3/5. You can have the bar model to help you. And then we have 9/5, which is equivalent to 1 and 4/5. And then finally we have 10/5, which we know is 2, because we know that 10 is 2 times greater than 5. It's double 5. So when you come across a number line that looks like this, don't be alarmed. You'll know exactly what to do. Okay, it is now your turn to fill in this number line by filling in the missing fractions and mixed numbers. Now, you can tell by looking at this improper fraction, 9/7, that much like the previous slide, you'll be doing your fractions at the top and then your mixed numbers down here. So pause the video here, and then when you press play, we'll go through the answers together. Okay, let's have a go at filling in these gaps. So we have 0, so we will have 0. 1/7, again 1/7, 2/7, 2/7, 3/7, 3/7, and so on, 4/7, 5/7, 6/7. Now we have 7/7 here, which we know is equivalent to 1. 8/7 is equivalent to 1 and 1/7. So 9/7 would be 1 and 2/7. And then finally on this number line, we have 10/7, which is equivalent to 1 and 3/7. So really it's as simple as that. Once you get the hang of it, you'll fly through this session. Okay, it is now over to you to complete your worksheet. You have 6 questions to do, and then you have a challenge. Remember, if you get stuck at any point, just come back to this video and find the section that is linked to your question, and you'll be absolutely fine. Okay, good luck, Year 5.